Hello, everyone. How are you? So we are about to complete the program, and I hope everything is doing great. Okay, just 1 second to put something here, and then get started. Can you please mute your mic? So, or let me do it first. Okay. Perfect. Great. So this session will be about testing learners. How do you test learners? We will discuss this topic in details, and these are the main aims. Number one, we are going to start with an introduction. Here, what do we mean by testing, or what do we mean by assessment in general? And number two, we are going to move to two different types of assessment that takes place in class. These two types are formative assessment versus summative assessment. And of course, number three, we are going to discuss why testing learners, why evaluating and assessing learners very important. And of course, we are going to talk later about the types of assessment like placement tests, diagnostic tests, achievement tests, progressive or progression tests, proficiency tests. These are some tests that we are going to see. These are the types. And of course, when you make a test or when you design or you prepare for a test, you take into account the characteristics. What makes this test good or bad? Here we can work or we can focus more on reliability and validity. Great. So let's move on to the number one. What do we mean by assessment? This is a very interesting question. What do we mean by assessment? So Bushman defines assessment as the purposeful, systematic. So there's a purpose for every stage. It's systematic. And ongoing collection of information as evidence for use in making judgment about students' performance. So here, it is an ongoing collection. So every day, every time, during the whole session, you are collecting information that will help you to make judgment about students' performance. So when students participate in discussions, you may see if he or she makes a lot of mistakes or not, if he or she is fluent, etc. Now, Brown 2004 defines assessment as any act of interpreting information about students' performance. If students participate well, fluently, using the right words, then you can interpret this that he is progressing. When you give a test to learners and you grade the test and then he or she gets a good mark, so that means he is a good student. So these are two main definitions. And the keywords here is systematic. It's an ongoing to make judgment. So during the whole session, session number one, session number two, you are all the time assessing, you are gathering, collecting information about learners to make judgment about their performance. And once they talk, once they answer, once they participate, once they, agree and disagree, once they do a project work, once they do exercises. So here you interpret all these and it gives you the global picture about students' performance. Okay, can we move on to the next slide? Perfect. So remember, the keywords are ongoing collection of information. It is very systematic, and all these will help us to make judgment about what? About students' performance. Great, next. Now, we are going to see the two types of assessment and how they differ and how they are different from each other. So what is the difference between formative and summative? So remember, please, when we talk about assessment, evaluation, testing in general, there are two major types. I repeat, there are two major parts. Number one is formative, and number two is summative assessment. So we are going to see. When the cook tastes the soup, that's formative. When the guest tastes the soup, that's summative. It's a very interesting analogy to compare. So Robert E. So Professor Emeritus of Education at the University of Illinois, and you have now to discuss. So I would like to give you 3 minutes. What do you think? What do we mean by, from this example, from this quote, when the cook tastes the soup, that's formative. When the guest tastes the soup, that's summative. My question, who tastes the soup first? Is he the guest or the cook? Can you please write in the chat box, or you can write? Is he the, thank you. So Mustafa Jabour said is the cook, which means the teacher. Okay. And when the guest tastes the soup, that's summative. We can say these are students. Okay. Yes, Umayma, activate your mic, please.
Yes, we can talk about formative, that the teacher when collects information about students, but he didn't do it for grades or anything. He do it just to know how it tastes, how the students doing during the class. And in summative, that the teacher is the test that we give to the student to give us the last results. We want to know what is the last results. It's when we talk about the guests test the soup.
Excellent, thank you, very interesting. I liked your answer. So formative assessment is like when the cook tastes, it is during the sessions. Okay. And it's like your best friend every time with you. So the formative assessment tells you if the learner is progressing or not, if the learner is on progress or not. So it is during the course, in every single session. Now, the guests at the end will taste the soup. This is at the end of the course, which means you are going to give them a test. You are going to give them an exam. So this is summative. The exam, the test is summative. When you give them project work, when you say very good job, feedback, when you ask them to go to the board and to participate, when you put them in pairs to discuss, to argue, all these are formative. Now the difference is formative, ongoing, as Umayma said, is your best friend. Every session, you are trying to assess learners. And summative, when you give them a test, an exam, it's at the end of the course or at the end of the units. Okay, clear so far, please? Great. Now let's move on. Let's see more differences. So summative assessments. Summative assessment is often described as an assessment of learning. So remember, assessment of learning, where the goal is to evaluate students' learning at the end of a particular period of study. Example, the end of a project or school. And here we talk about the exam. When you teach Unit 1, Unit 2, or Unit 3, so students must be tested. And here you give them a test. So this test is at the end of the course or at the end of the 3 units. Okay. This kind of assessment is used to determine what students have learned and thus report on their progress. So the second meaning or synonym of summative assessment is assessment of learning. The time is at the end of the project, at the end of the school year, at the end of the semester, at the end of the course. Okay. Great. The best example is the final exam, the regional exam, the national exam, the test. These are examples of summative. And from the meaning summative, to summarize. It gives you a summary of the whole term about students' performance. Perfect. Let's continue. Now, formative assessment or formative assessments are used not as a final evaluation, but as a part of an ongoing process of assessment, which means, as I told you, it's your best friend. I teach this session, I'm assessing my learners. I'm listening to them, I'm giving them feedback, I'm asking them to participate. So I collect information about their performance. Now, the goal of formative assessment is to monitor. You observe, you notice, you try to see. So you monitor students' learning and provide feedback that can be used by teachers and students to improve their learning. Yes, please. Can someone tell me what is the simple path of go? Teacher, it's went. Very good job. Now, can you play roles? Can you talk about what you did last Monday? What did you do? I played tennis. And you? I didn't go outside. Very good conversations. You are giving feedback. This is formative assessment. So it is characterized as assessment for learning. So here, summative assessment is of learning. Formative assessment for learning. So we have of and for. Of, it's summative, and for, it starts with F, for. So it's formative, just to remember and not get confused. So this can help teachers and students to identify their strengths and areas of improvement. So look at the difference. Summative helps the teacher to see if students are on progress or not, and it gives the global picture about their performance. Formative helps the two, the teacher and the learner. the teacher how to improve his teaching style and learners to improve their learning style. Great. Any questions? If no questions, we can move on to the next slide. Yes, please. No questions? Thank you. Umayma said it's clear. Clear enough. Ilham, Ikram, Zaidi, perfect. Thank you all. Great, Mustafa, thanks. So look, let's move on to the next. Now look here. What's the what's the importance of assessment for learning? So for learning means formative. Of learning means summative. But here, let's focus for learning in language teaching. The goal of assessment for learning is improvement, to improve my teaching and to improve students' learning. So it allows both teachers and students to identify areas for improvement and target their efforts accordingly. This is the importance of assessment for learning. Now, let's do some practice. Look here, assessment of learning. What do we mean by assessment of learning? Assessment of learning, what is it? Can you write in the chat box, assessment of learning? Is it summative or formative? Summative. Thank you, Ilham, Umayma, Zainab, perfect. What about for learning? For learning. So it is formative, perfect. Yes, formative, thank you. Great job. Now, let's do it all together. I'm gonna choose the first one. So this is the state or the national exam. Is it summative or formative? National exam. What do you think? Summative, Marwan said. Perfect, Marwan. Yes. Summative, Umayma. Perfect, Umayma. Great. So it is summative. Great job. Now, I would like to give you 2 minutes and complete. You can write either of, O, or F. So, the state or national, it is of learning. So it is summative. It is of learning. Great. 2 minutes. Yes, please. Great. So let's continue. Now, in class question and answers. What's this? Is it summative or formative? Ilham Zinib said, so in class question. Mustafa said formative. Thank you. So it is formative. Perfect. Mustafa formative, Ikram formative. Great. Now self-assessment. Self-assessment when students correct themselves. Is it formative? Thank you, Ilham. It's formative. Formative assessment. Perfect. Peer assessment. So students correct each other. Is it summative or formative? What do you think? Thank you, Umayma. It's formative. Perfect. End of chapter test. End of chapter test. What's this? Summative. So it is of learning. Perfect. Of learning. Great. Yes, perfect. Now, detailed comments on a piece of written homework. When you write, very good job, well done. So what is this? The detailed comments on a piece of written work, homework. Is it summative or formative? Yeah, it is formative. Perfect. Yes, formative. Great job. Good. So quizzes. Summative or formative? Summative. Do they take place at the end of the course? Do they take at the end of the school year or during the course? What do you think? Yeah? What do you think? My question, quizzes take place at the end of the course, at the end of the school year, or during the course? Yeah? It's not at the end of the course is the program. Basically, when you teach unit 1 or 2, we can give them a quiz. Basically, we can consider them 2, but for me, it is of learning. Of learning. No, quizzes do not take place at the end of the course. No, the course is the course consists of many units, many lessons. At the end of the course, we have the test, either the midterm test or the final test. But when you teach the first week and the second week, you can give them a quiz. Okay, so basically they can be considered both, but for me it is of learning. Why? Because during the course we can give them some quizzes. Okay, great. So let's see here. One second. So look here. Here for formative in class, peer assessment, self-assessment, quizzes, detailed comments on a piece of homework. Why? Because all these take place during. It's an ongoing, okay, every time. But summative, we have the national exam, the end of the chapter test, or a midterm exam. It's at the end of the first term, first semester, or at the end of the school year. Okay, great. Shall I move to the next slide? Perfect. So let's move on to the next slide. Now, the difference between formative and summative assessment. Look here, look at this line. Formative, it's ongoing during the course. So formative assessment's goal is to monitor students' learning, to provide ongoing feedback that can be used by instructors to improve their teaching and by students to improve their learning. It's the same. Number one, the goal of formative assessment is to help the teacher and the learner. The teacher will know about if he is teaching well, and the learners will learn about if they are learning better, if they are improving or not. And here the teacher will monitor students by giving them feedback. Very good job, wonderful, great. Now, summative assessment's goal is to evaluate students' learning at the end. So formative during, but summative at the end, sorry. At the end of an instructional unit by comparing it against some standard or benchmark. Here the difference is formative helps the two, the teacher and the learner. It's during the course. Summative, it's at the end, but it helps the teacher to make judgments or to give grades and to know students' level. Great. Second difference number 2. The blue is formative and the red is summative. So again, the time is during evaluation, during the learning process. I'm teaching this session, so it is formative. I'm teaching the second session, it's formative. I'm teaching the third session, it's formative. I'm teaching the second week, the third week, the fourth week, the first month, the second month, it is formative. Oh, at the end of the first term, or at the end of the first semester, or at the end of the school year, it is evaluation after the course completion. So it's at the end. Good. Now, for formative, my job as a teacher is to monitor, to notice, to observe the learning process. Is students getting improved or not? Are students on progress or not? But for summative, I just give grades. 17 out of 20, 7 out of 20, 10 out of 20. So this is the difference. Yes, please. Clear? We continue. Yeah? Clear again? Perfect. Now, formative. The purpose is to improve students' learning. So the focus here is to improve students' learning. I want to improve. I'm going to say, very good job. Feedback. So students feel motivated. Or I'm going to put them in groups to participate. Or I'm going to give them some pictures to describe to feel motivated and to interact. Or I'm going to give them a project to work together. This is the purpose, to improve students' learning. Now, summative is the red, look here. The purpose is to evaluate students' achievements. I want them at the end to get a good mark. I want them at the end to answer the questions correctly. I want them at the end to do well and to be good, etc. Great. Next, evaluations include little content areas. I'm going to teach you one session. I'm going to evaluate you. So, little content. The content, the units are not completed because I just taught unit number 1, and I evaluated you. So, the content is not completed. Here, the content means the program. Now, for summative, I cannot evaluate you unless I complete the program, unless I complete the course. Good. So evaluations include complete chapters, complete units, complete lessons or content areas. Another difference is formative assessment considers evaluation as a process. Evaluation is my best friend. Evaluation is an ongoing process. Evaluation takes time during the course. Evaluation takes place every time, every session. But for summative assessment, so it considers evaluation as a product. If at the end, I give you the product. What is the product? Your grades. I give you the exam. I give you the test. So formative process and summative product at the end. Yes, please. Now, is it clear about the difference between summative and formative? Yes, please. Shall we move on to the next slide? Okay, great. So the next slide, the difference number 3, examples, low point value. So drawing a concept map to present understanding of a topic. Classroom polls, exit tickets, turn in research for early feedback, 1-minute papers. All these are examples of formative, low point value, no grades, no marks for them. But, and here, for formative, students feel at ease, students feel comfortable, students are not stressed because low points, there is no grade or there are no grades. Oh, now the red color, summative, high points. Look, next week is the end. So there is an exam, there is a test. It's the end of the course. It's the end of the semester. So high points value, how they feel? They feel stressed. They feel so serious, not comfortable, and they are going to prepare and prepare. Examples here are a midterm exam, end of a unit or a chapter test, a final project or paper, district benchmark, scores used for accountability for schools and students, etc. So feelings, there's a difference. For formative, we feel at ease, we feel comfortable, we feel not stressed. But for summative is the opposite. Okay. Good. Clear so far again? If it is clear again, then we can move on to the next slide. Now, another very important question is why? Why we should test learners. So look here. These are examples. Reasons to test students. A course director. Anyway, I would like someone to read A, B, C, and D. These are the reasons why we should test learners. Raise your hand, please, and read the 4 main reasons. Can you volunteer, please? Okay, Ikram. Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. A course director is expecting an intake of 200 students. They will all set a test on the first day of the course. B, a teacher has met his first new class. In the next session, he gives the class a short test. C, a teacher has completed the half of the course. She decides to give her class a test. D, a class is about to complete the whole course and it is the end of the school year. The teacher decides to give her class a test.
Great, wonderful. So reason number one is course director is expecting an intake of 200 students. So they will set a test. What do we call this test? So this is the reason. And B, a teacher has met his first new class the first time. In the next session, he gives the class a short test. What do we call this test? And this test is the second reason. C, a teacher has completed the half of the course, so she decides to give her class a test. What do we call this type of test? And number 4 is the teacher decides to give her class a test once she completes the whole course. So let me help you. These are the reasons. Number 1, we give tests or we test learners to place them. We call placement tests, or to diagnostic tests, or to see if they are on progress or not, or for proficiency. So these are the 4 major reasons. We call them placement test, diagnostic test, progress or achievement test, and proficiency test. Good, I explain. Placement tests, the purpose, they are designed to place learners in the right place. For example, you would like to study Spanish at a language center. You would like to study German at a language center. Number 1, they don't know who you are and who is your level. So from the very beginning, they give you a test to know your level. Are you a beginner or intermediate or advanced or proficient? And this test, based on this test, they will place you. They will put you in the right level, because you cannot study at a language center Spanish language and directly you go to advanced class. No, and you have nothing. You know nothing about Spanish, so you have to take the test. We call it placement. And the best place for this is the language centers. Clear? Yes, please. Great. Now, diagnostic test. This test is designed to see the weakness or the weaknesses and strength of learners. When the beginning of the course is the first year, is the first semester. So it's the first year, the first time I meet my students. I don't know if they are good at grammar or speaking or reading or writing, or maybe they are not good at writing, they make spelling mistakes, etc. So I'm going to design a test to know about their weaknesses and their strength. If they are very good at speaking, so I should work on their writing skills. If they are good at grammar, I should work on their vocab, etc. And this is in the beginning of the course. They are all at the same level. They are level 1 or they are level 2 or they are level 3, but they have some problems with some areas. It can be grammar, it can be spelling, it can be punctuation, it can be pronunciation, etc. Okay. Number 3, progress or achievement test. This is at the end. This is the national exam. This is the midterm exam. This is the final exam. So they are designed to measure learners' language and skill progress in relation to the syllabus they have been following. And the time the progress or achievement tests take place is at the end of the unit. So it's progress. And achievement test is at the end of school year. So progress test is at the end of the unit or units. Achievement tests are at the end of the school year. Now, a test is the progress, and the final exam or the national exam is the achievement test. Okay. Yes, any questions again? Yes, please. Okay. Great. Now, the last one is proficiency tests. Like IELTS or TOEFL. So they are designed to give a global picture about a learner's knowledge and ability. For example, I would like to continue my studies abroad in Canada or America or the UK. They will ask me to take a proficiency test. They want to know about my English. And there are some examples here like IELTS or TOEFL or TOEIC. So to be admitted in some international schools abroad, they ask you to take the proficiency test. So to be admitted at a foreign university or get a job or certificate, you have to take this test. It is the proficiency test. Okay. Clear? Great. Now, let me ask you some questions. I give you an example and you tell me what type of this or what is the test. Now, when you finish the course and you give them the final exam at the end of the school year, what test is this? Can you write in the chat box, what test? At the end of the school year, you give them a test. What is this? Progress. Umayma, it is progress is at the end of the school year. Is it progress or achievement? Yes, please. It is, thank you. It is achievement. Progress is at the end of the unit. Thank you, Zinab. Now, I would like to study Japanese language. I will go to a language center to study, to see about my level. What is this? What test is this? Thank you, Ikram. It is the placement test. Thank you. Very good job. Now, I got my bag and I would like to continue my studies abroad in Harvard University. It's a dream. So the Harvard University will ask me to prepare for a test. What test is this? Thank you, Zinab and Ikram. Proficiency test. Perfect. Great. Proficiency. Now, oh, the summer vacation is over. And tomorrow I will start the first session with my students. The first time I'm gonna meet them. But they have all the same level, but I don't know about their weaknesses and their strength. What's this? What test is this? Umayma said placement. Are you sure? I said they have the same level. They have the same level. But I don't know what they are good at and what they are not good at. What is this? Thank you, Zinab and Umayma. It is the diagnostic test. Thank you, Ikram. Bravo. Tabarakallah alaikum, you are great. So now you have some ideas about assessment, yes? You have formative, you have summative, you have the 4 types, you have the reasons, etc. Okay, great, perfect. Now let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so let me share with you this one. The task types used in formal assessment, formative. Now, if you want to prepare for an exam, I mean for activities for students, here you have reading. You can give them true, false, multiple choice, open comprehension questions, table completion, like a text about Bob, Laura, and James. They say Bob, Laura, and James, and another column for their places, and another column for their professions, and another column for their ages. How old are they? So this is table completion. Or choose the title for the text, the best title. So these are some activities you can give students for formative assessment. For listening is the same, true, false, etc. For grammar, multiple choice questions, sentence or dialogue completion. They can complete a dialogue about simple past. Hi, how are you? The question, I got up at 9, so they have to complete. What time did you get up, etc. Transformation exercise. Rewrite the following sentences: reported speech, passive voice. Error correction. You can give them a mistake and they have to correct it. I makes mistakes. I plays tennis, so they have to correct, etc. And for writing, you can tell them to copy, to fill in the form, to write a dialogue, to write a story, to describe a picture, or to write an essay, or to write an email. These are, again, other activities. For speaking, repeat the words, repeat the sentences, responding to functions. What would you say in this? Asking for advice, giving advice, okay, or describing pictures, or give short presentations or discussions. So these are some activities. For vocab, you can give them an activity about categorizing. So you can give them food, drinks, objects, and you can give them 6 words: drink, couscous, table. So drink, or sorry, soda, it's drink, couscous is food, and table is the object. We call this categorizing. They put each one into the right category. Or word building, culture, cultural, educate, educational, education, etc. Matching, odd one is out. Yeah, the odd one is out. You can give them 3 or 4 words, but they have to find the odd one. So red, blue, green, teacher, or man. So the odd one is the man, because 1, 2, 3 are about colors. Or pizza, burger, couscous, Coca-Cola. So the odd one is Coca-Cola, because Coca-Cola is the drink, but the others are food. Or finding or giving synonyms or antonyms. I'm going to share with you all these activities that we use for formal, etc., and even for summative. Okay. Good. Now, what about the characteristics of good tests? So here we can design tests and we take into consideration if the test is valid or reliable. If the test is not valid, if the test is not reliable, then it is a bad test. I explain. Validity versus reliability. Can someone read the two? Can you please read? Any volunteer? Raise your hand. Yes, please. Can someone read? Okay, so Marwan, please, can you read the difference between validity and reliability?
Okay.
Thank you.
Validity. A test is valid if it tests what is supposed to test. It is not valid to test speaking and ask your student to talk about the topic that requires specialist knowledge of phonology. Reliability tests should give consistent results. If the same group of learners took the same test again in a couple of days, they should get the same results.
Great. Now, validity, let me explain. A test is valid if it tests what is supposed to test. So you are teaching children and you taught them vocab about food, couscous, pizza, burger. My favorite food is couscous because it's delicious. My favorite food is pizza because it's very nice. So you taught them only vocab and my favorite. Now in the exam, you will ask them to write a short paragraph is why the pizza is delicious, or what are the ingredients of, pizza. This is not valid because what did you teach? You taught learners only vocab, words about food, and one sentence. My favorite food is pizza because it's nice. Now, when you give them an exam, a test about write a paragraph about how is pizza made and what are the ingredients, this test is not valid because you are asking something beyond the student's knowledge and level. Clear? Yes, please. Yes or no? Perfect. Another example, you may teach grammar, phrasal verbs. You may teach just 10 phrasal verbs, make up, turn up, turn down, take out, etc. But in the exam, you give them many phrasal verbs and they have to use them in an essay. To write an essay using 16 or 20 phrasal verbs, but you taught them only 10 simple phrasal verbs. So this test is not valid. Good. Reliability, a reliable test should give consistent result. If the same group of learners took the same test again in a couple of days, they would get the same result. So you give students a test today, and next week you may give them the same test. If all of them got for this test, if all of them gets good marks, but next week you give them the same test and they got bad marks, that means the test is not reliable. It means there is something wrong. It means maybe they were cheating or something wrong happened. Great. Now, good tests, valid, designed to do the job they are supposed to do or measure the specific aspects, components they are to measure. You taught 15 words, don't give them more. Give them enough time for that. For example, you give them to write an essay, but you give them 15 minutes to write. No, they cannot write an essay in 15 minutes. So the test is not valid because they need time. Reliable gives the same or similar results if marked by many scores or if they administered on different occasions. I give an example. I'm gonna give a test to my learners. I'm gonna correct them. So the majority will get above 10. So 10, 14, 15, 17, 18. Now the same test, I'm gonna give it to another teacher. If the teacher corrects the same test and he gives to the majority below 10, so this test is not reliable because it should give the same or similar results if it is marked by other scorers. Consistent, a good test must be consistent with activities used in the classroom. I give you multiple choice questions. I taught you using WH questions. I taught you using true or false. So in the exam, you should use only these activities. Don't give them other activities that you did not taught before. For example, I taught students reading text, and all the reading text I used for activities: true, false, the best title, WH questions, and synonyms. So I taught them only for activities. After 1 month, I'm going to give them a reading test. So if I tell them to match the people with their feelings in the text, maybe here there's a problem, because I did not teach matching exercise. I taught only true, false, WH questions, synonyms, and the best title. So it must be consistent with the activities used in the classroom. Clear, please? Yes? Great. Number 4, motivating and encouraging. Never design a failing test. Never take revenge. Never make the test too difficult. Never make the test too easy, in between. Not very difficult and not very easy. Okay. And in the beginning, you can start with easy questions, difficult, very difficult, then challenging. And in the beginning, you can prepare them psychologically. Don't worry, it's okay. No, Ilham, it should not be challenging, because you have got different abilities, different learners, different learning styles, etc. Different multiple intelligences. So the test should not be very difficult and not be very easy. Okay. Great. Now, this is some examples of bad tests. So read the student's complaints. Complete the sentences explaining the problem with the test design in each case. Can we do number 1 together? Can someone read number 1? Any volunteer? What's the problem with number 1? Any volunteer, please? So let's see. Isra, please, can you read number 1?
Hello?
Yes, please.
The instructions just said choose the answer. So most of my answers and classmates were wrong because we didn't know that I should choose only one correct answer.
Thank you. So what's the problem? Instructions need? What do you think? Instructions need?
To be more clear.
Perfect, yes. So to be more clear. Great. So instructions must be clear, specific. Good. So we can say choose, not the answer, choose the best answer. Okay, great. Now I would like to give you 3 minutes. Do number 2 and number 3. See what's the problem. Okay, so who can answer number 2? The whole course, anyone to read number 2? Yes, please. Any volunteer? Yes, Ikram, Zaidi, yes, please. Activate your mic. Okay, so let's move to Zinab Blid. Zinab Blid.
Yes, Professor.
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay. The whole course about grammar and vocab, and love it so much. But we had a written test and at the end, and I really did not do well. So maybe the content of the test should be just about grammar and vocab, not writing.
So this is what
think.
this is. Good. So thank you, Umayma. Also, should be consistent with the classroom activities. So the content of the test should be consistent because you taught them only grammar and vocab. So we have to teach them on grammar and vocab, and also it is validity. So the test should be consistent. Great. Now, number 3. Another one, please. Number 3. Yes, Mustafa.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
I got 3 in a reading, speaking, and listening test. My teacher wrote only you should double your efforts. Double your efforts. Feedback should be.
You should double. Yeah, so the feedback should be constructive.
Okay.
Constructive, and also we can say should be motivating. We have to motivate learners, and you have to tell them what is the problem. What's the problem exactly? Not just you should double your efforts. You should double your efforts is kind of negative feedback, but we have to tell them, yeah, you have to work hard because, or you have to work on your spelling mistakes or on your writing or etc. Your pronunciation. Great. So the feedback should be constructive. Great. So let's see. Thank you. And this is the end of the assessment. And remember, we talked about introduction, formative versus summative, importance of assessment, types of assessment, and the characteristics of a test. Thank you so much. Yes, please, any questions?